Dave Worzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Living Well. On Living Well, we look at a variety of topics related to living a healthy lifestyle. And we are very fortunate at Palos Heights. We have a great place that can help you live that healthy lifestyle, and we're at Richard's Bicycle Store on Harlem Avenue. And what a great way to be fit, healthy, get great exercise, soft impact. But aside from the obvious benefits from bike riding, what I really want to talk to you about, Rich, is making the ride safe, you know, so that you have a good ride, you like what you're doing, you're safe, anybody you see on the trail is safe, or you see on the roads is safe, and I'd like you to address that part of it. So Living Well, we're going to talk about bike safety today. You good for that?
Very good. Let's do it.
And I know you're an expert. I'm going to give you a chance to tell us, how long have you, how long have you worked in the bike business? How long have you been here?
45 years. We've been in this location since 1980, and it's been a bike shop, I think, about 10 years longer than that, but I've been walking through these doors for 45 years.
All right, so you got a little...
enjoy it.
I say you still have you got real longevity in this, and you're a bike rider too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not as much as I used to, but still try to get out when I can.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm heading in the same direction, but I'm enjoying it while I can.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about, and maybe I'm going to ask you to talk, let's talk about like gear or things that for the actual rider, and then maybe there are safety features people should be aware of on their bike, okay? And I'm going to assume, I mean, there's several things you can talk about. I'll let you take the lead. What do you think are some of the most important things people should consider on their body when they're riding?
On their body, number one, helmet, just in case you do crash. We have a large variety of them, but generally speaking, you want to protect your head. Unfortunately, accidents can happen very quickly, and before you know it, you're on the ground. And generally, if someone does fall, they're usually falling from 5 feet to 6 feet down, and it can have a lot of damage to your head. So you really, really want to have some type of a helmet. That's what I would say is first and foremost. There's other equipment, but helmet would be number one.
You know, and I want to reiterate, because I feel like we hear those stories. I know somebody recently who was like, oh, I'm just going to go for a quick ride around the neighborhood. Unfortunately, the bike or the crash, whether it's 10 miles away or 2 blocks away, it doesn't, that's not part of the equation. When you go down, you need to have the helmet on.
Yes, absolutely. It can happen anywhere. I mean, literally, it can happen, you know, rolling out of your garage. It could happen 10 miles away. It could happen 20 miles away. But again, protecting your head is crucial. It's definitely the most important.
And maybe can you talk a little bit about the fit? Because, and I get it, like, oh, that's a cool looking helmet, or I like this, you know, the color, the design. But I'm going to guess that there are other things more important about that helmet.
Absolutely, the fit is crucial. You know, a helmet that is not fitted correctly to your head when you do crash can move, and that can become a big problem. You'll see quite often, you know, people riding down the street with their helmets tipped way up and stuff like that, and that is really not the way you want the helmet to act. Generally, if you do crash, the helmet has crash points in it that are going to protect you, and when you are compromising that by having it not fitted right, it doesn't help you.
Okay. So helmet number one, and then the fitting obviously is critical. All right, how about other things we might wear?
Other items, you know, gloves are definitely a great idea. One, for the comfort, it does give you more padding. Your hands have a lot of nerve endings in them, so by using a pair of gloves, it does help. The other thing is, if you do crash, we have the tendency to put our arms out to stop it. And when you do that, if you're on the asphalt, then you scuff your hands. So the gloves would definitely help in a case like that. The other thing, too, eyewear. Eyewear is very important, too, because you're riding along. Bug hits you. Bug can hit you in the eye. You know, at least this way you're going to have protection for your eyes. And even a basic glass would be fine. A plastic pair of sunglasses would be helpful, at least something to protect your eyes. If you're comfortable with a pair of sunglasses that you already have, wear them. It's real simple. So.
All right, and then I think I noticed on the rack here, somewhere over here, I felt like I saw some reflective gear too.
Yes. Yeah, reflective gear is not a bad idea. One of the big pushes about 6-7 years ago in the bike industry was to get riders more visible. And basically that meant is use lights during the day. Use yellow-colored clothing, yellow-colored helmets, things like that. Basically just something to catch motorist eyes, so that they're, you know, again, just it's a safety feature at that point. So,
right.
Again, the being illuminated is a good idea, put it that way.
Yeah, make yourself visible.
Yep.
You know, whether it's light out or not actually doesn't matter, right?
No, there again, like I said, there's a big push in the bike industry for people to ride with lights during the day, and the lighting systems that are out there now are extremely bright, so even having them on during the day is helpful. And again, just to keep you protected.
Say, that was a great segue into my next question. Unless there's something else you want to mention about the bike. I know for different types of riders, I want to talk about the bike. For different types of riders, mountain bike riding or street riding, you might get into other types of gear, right?
Sure. There are other protective gear. The more extreme riding that you do, you may consider elbow pads, knee pads. Some even go with like shoulder pads that they use for like motocross riding and stuff like that. Because the possibility when you're off-road is that if you do crash and you hit a rock or something like that, you could break an arm, break a leg, and stuff like that. So generally speaking, the more protective gear, the more extreme you get is something that should be considered.
So we're going to recommend then, based on what you're saying, that if somebody's out there riding, part of the thing they need to consider, what kind of riding are we talking about? Are we in the neighborhood? Are we on the trails? Are we mountain bike riding? Where our single track things, and right?
Yeah, absolutely. Where you're going to go with the bike is the first starting point. Again, if it's being used on basically any of our local trails and stuff like that, a helmet, pair of glasses, some gloves, and I think you'd be in pretty good shape. After that, it really becomes up to you. There are some comfort features such as shorts and things like that you could include that have what's called a chamois inside of them, and it helps to basically pad the seat, and it also helps to keep from getting chafing and stuff like that. Not necessarily a safety item, but maybe more of a comfort item with something like that.
It might help you enjoy the ride and be less likely to do something that could. Yeah. How about, so I want to go, let's circle back to the other question. You started to talk about the bike. We've talked about the person. How about safety features on the bike that people really should include, especially, I'm going to say, riding where we ride?
This will sound crazy, but the first and foremost thing I would tell you is make sure you have your cell phone with you. Okay. And that's simply because if you have an issue, you can at least call somebody. Yeah. And that sounds crazy because years ago we never would have thought of it that way. Aside from that, from a point of the bike itself, carrying a spare inner tube is not a bad idea. Having a pump with you is not a bad idea either. The most common thing that will happen out on the trail is a flat tire. And if you can basically get yourself the equipment that you need to make that change, now you can keep your ride going. Or, again, like I said, with the cell phone, you would call somebody. There's other things that you should do from a maintenance point of view, but I believe we're getting into that later.
We will. We'll get into that. And I do, you mentioned lighting in the beginning and how bright lighting is. And I'm thinking, well, it's a sunny day. Do I need lights? Or maybe I'm riding later in the day. Lighting is a big part of the safety element here. I'm guessing based on what you were saying earlier.
Yep, absolutely, David. The lighting systems now, a lot of them are going to be strobe lights, basically, where they'll be flashing. And generally speaking, if you're in a vehicle, you're in a car driving along, you're going to see flashing lights much faster than a light that stays consistently on. So the lighting systems now are basically set up so they can be a solid light. So if you need that for yourself to see if we're getting into dusk or that, and it's getting a little dark, but more so during the day, you want to use the strobe light, the one that's flashing, and it's simply so that people will catch that a little bit faster and stay away from you. Basically, is what it would be. Yeah. So.
And I know that same feature exists on the tail light too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great advice, a lot of great safety tips. Any other advice or tips? I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here: lighting, maintenance of the bike. And equipment gear. Am I leaving anything out? I'm
going to say that's pretty much covered all the basics, we'll say. There's a lot of other things that you can consider as add-ons to a bike and stuff like that. But from a safety point of view, I think those are pretty much the ones that would cover the basics. Okay. And it'll keep you pretty safe out on the road. So.
Good. Well, thank you, Rich. I know that's incredibly helpful. And probably as a side note, I'm going to recommend if you have any questions all about this, get into the bike shop, talk to Rich or somebody on staff, anybody, and they'll help you kind of put together a safe package for yourself, right?
We're here.
Okay.
Glad to help.
Thanks, Rich. I'm Dave Worsley. You've been watching PHTV4 Living Well, and we've been talking with Rich at Richard's Bicycle Store in Palos, talking about bike safety. Thank you, and be healthy.